no worries, I can go and play football. I can live at my mum and dad's house and I can pursue this dream. But my son comes along and I go, there is instability in football.
I think as well, just on that as well, we've always both had a burning desire to be great, haven't we? At something. And I think when you know it's not going to be in football, I think we wanted to do our own thing, because then there's no real ceiling as to where you can get to, and you are at your own destiny, like Jay says.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the CEOCAST, the number one place for showcasing business entrepreneurship. Now today, you lot join me on a unique story with a couple of chaps who were ex-footballers and have since started the brand and taken the UK by storm. With only 2.5 years of starting, they've generated over £8.5 million in revenue, and I'm with the co-founders of Freetrain, Jack and James. Sorry, I got my eyes completely wrong there.
Yes, man.
Yeah. Anyway, how you doing, guys? You right?
Yeah, man, all good,
Yeah.
all good.
All good.
How's your day been? Stressful, good, enjoying it?
Busy,
Yeah.
busy like every other day. Just trying to push the company forward, really.
Yeah. So starting only 2.5 years ago, so for people to understand exactly what your company is and what you guys do, what is it? Before we get into it, make sure you subscribe and set the bell notification to all so you never miss a single episode.
So we've just gone into the clothing apparel, but originally we started off with, you might have seen around the black running vest.
Yep.
Crazy little idea that we had about 5 years ago now. And it's just taken off. It's been a whirlwind.
So just an idea with the vest, right? Because obviously I didn't know what it was exactly at first. And people will probably, without seeing it, they'll probably be like, what sort of vest is it? What does the vest do?
Basically, long and short of it, holds your phone when you're running.
Yeah.
So phone sits centrally, so if you want to change song or track your workout or reply to someone, it basically gives you quick access to your phone when you're running or moving. It just solves a pretty annoying problem of whether you got it in your pocket or like armbands and running belts.
Yeah.
It literally just solves that problem,
Just
but
makes it
there's not too much to it really.
Easily accessible for your phone, basically, when
Yeah.
you're running or training and stuff like that.
That's it. We just wanted to simplify running, because everybody runs with the phone in the hand or bouncing around in the pocket, and we just thought something better.
Yeah, that is like the most annoying thing, because when I'm working out and stuff, sometimes having your phone in your pocket, if you're doing like deadlifts or squats, for example, right, your phone just is there. It's a bulge that just gets in the way of the barbell. So maybe having it here would probably be a better option to do so. And I suppose you let us solve that problem.
That was it. It was just seeing a problem that needed solving, really. I mean, we were running and then kind of spitballing ideas. One day we knew we had to create something. We were trying to fund something else at the time. And this idea came around, and then it just sort of took off. The more we developed it, the better it got. We thought, right then, drop everything else. This is the thing what's going to drive us forward.
And to be fair, at the start there, everyone literally laughed at our idea, which is funny looking back now, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we obviously we had
who
this, just everyone, because we had this concept and we thought, oh yeah, if you can put your phone here, because it was so different to anything else that was out there, people would be like, yeah, but we don't need that, and it wasn't really a problem. And then as soon as we got people to test it, we did loads of prototyping and everything. And when people ran in it and just ran around the block or the car park, they were like, oh my God, how simple is that? Yeah. And sometimes I say, I don't know, simplest ideas are pretty good, but it's definitely simple.
Talking of people laughing at us, the one that stands out to me, we were going around to run clubs. It's like we'd be on the phone, right, I'm going to go and see these people today, show them the prototype. And the prototype was shit, man. It was like awful. It was like red felt almost. And I remember taking it into this run club, and there was a guy there, and he was really smarmy. And I was trying to show the group, and he's going, what is it, a bra, this and that. But slowly but surely I went, oh no, it does this, it does that. All of a sudden you saw the room turn, and I think that's when sort of you get back in the car, we're on the phone, he's had a similar experience, and then we're going, no, this is what we're going to do. And the belief just sort of grew from there. The minute we could convince people, one room, we knew we've got something.
The thing is, it sounds like when you say it's like how it is right now, it sounds like such a simple idea. So some people might question, like, come on, that's simple. It's almost like not reinventing the wheel. But when you think about it, that simple, sometimes it just goes to show that when simple businesses work, a simple idea can take the UK by storm, exactly how you guys have done.
Yeah, and you don't need to reinvent the wheel, do you?
No. I mean, the phones aren't going anywhere, are they? So it is simple, but it carries a device which you can do so much on. Do you know what I mean? So like everyone has different reasons why they use their phone, texting, emails, tracking workouts, music, maps. And we basically say, well, you wear this and you can access that for whatever you want, really.
Yeah, and the good thing as well with it as well, right? And I was thinking about this right now. entrepreneurs, they're always on the phone. Always, you know, the work never stops as an entrepreneur, right? So even when you're in the gym, you're still getting phone calls and emails and stuff like that. And sometimes, you know, it's interrupting your workout when you're pulling out your pocket, you know, all that sort of stuff. If you could just flip it down right there.
That's it, yeah.
And you've got it at your hand.
The main thing, but this is where we kind of fell into this product because to be completely honest, we invented it for ourselves. The whole idea was for us because we train. We're not like expert runners or expert gym goers. We are the normal person who wants to go and train, keep fit. And you want to listen to your music. You want to be accessible if someone's going to call you. So the whole idea was, where can we put your phone or whatever you need where it's not going to get in the way? And as I say, all of a sudden we've gone from like a massive thing that looked like a bulletproof vest to this little contraption that gives you the freedom to move.
Have you still got like the first sample that you made?
Yeah, we got quite a few in the locker. Because when we first had the idea, from idea to, let's say, a product that we could actually sell, was about 2 years. And obviously, coming from a football background, we didn't have any kind of experience in manufacturing or like engineering or anything. So it was like, get a t-shirt, cut it out, make it a bit stronger, you know, change this, change that. And the product development side of it was like so long. It was such a ball ache, and at times it was questioning, like, are we ever going to get this over the line? Because we could only do certain things to get it so far. We needed help from other people and finding out other people as well. Especially when we were so young, you go and maybe speak to a manufacturer and say, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you help us? And they almost like laughed us off to start with, but we just stuck at it and somehow got it over the line.
Do you know what I think the biggest thing was in the development stage? We had people taking us back. Do you know what I mean? So,
what do you mean by that, taking you back?
So like, we had our fixed idea, and I never forget, this was a little bit further down the line. There's 2 or 3 experiences with people that we had before this moment, but we were so close to getting it finished, and we took it to this guy in Sheffield, and he looked at it, he went, yeah, lads, leave it with me. Come back next week and it'll be perfect. Got back up there, and the guy had ruined it. He'd gone, I was looking at it and I think you needed like a pull tag on this, and you should do this and do that. And you're driving back down the motorway thinking, we're back at square one again. You've got to go find a new product developer. But our idea from the start, the second shape that we drew, is the shape that we've got now. But people have their own vision and their own idea where they try and take you down. But if you've got that idea in the first place, like we had, you have to stick to your guns and you have to say, no, this is what we're making. But everyone's got an opinion, and everyone will try and make you do your thing their way.
Yeah, no, that's not what you want. So now we understand more a bit about the brand, right? I think we've got to dive back into both of your guys' history, because like I mentioned in the intro, you're both footballers essentially, right? So I'll probably start with you, Jack. What's your history? What team did you play for? What's your whole upbringing like? The whole lot.
Upbringing was just football, mad, like a lot of kids like want to be a footballer, doing it every second of the day. Signed for the Villa when I was 7, Aston Villa, which was magic. Stayed there for 10 years, left when I was 18. And in that was obviously every kid's dream, got a scholarship, was there full time, you know, travelled around, like played tournaments in Europe and stuff. It was literally like every kid's dream. And then got released for, is this it? Managed to get a trial at Burton Albion through someone I knew, because at that age, kind of 18, the dropout rate is huge. And then you've got thousands of kids in the country trying to get a trial at maybe going from the Premier League down to like League 1 or League 2. Managed to get a trial, like a week, did well on the trial. And then stayed at Burton for 4.5 years, which was wicked, like a lot more real, kind of with adults. It was like straight into the men's environment as opposed to the kids' age groups at the Villa. 18, obviously you're with a lot of 18-year-olds, and you step into the first team at Burton, and like you're there with, you know, anyone from kind of 25 upwards. So, which actually like I really preferred. And then did that for 4.5 years, which was wicked. Struggled with my ankle. Long story short, I had an operation when I was 23. And that was me done. But in the process of that, the magic which is today, met James at Burton, and we started travelling in together, kind of saving money on petrol. And that's where the relationship started, way before the business. But that's initially where our story starts at Burton Albion. But that was my football.
The bit in your story about the ankle sounds like the typical saying when people say, I could have gone pro but broke my knee. It's one of them ones.
It literally is. It literally is, yeah. But now I had 4 really good years at Burton. I was on the trajectory to kind of go up, and then unfortunately the lower down you are, every time you get injured because of budgets and stuff, they don't want to say go for an operation next week. maybe have an injection, see how it goes, and then it just gets worse and worse. And
Fair play. What about yourself, James?
Very similar to Jack. I started Sunday League football, and I wanted to be a striker. Ended up in goal. And do you know what it was? I think my personality suited being a goalkeeper because I had no fear. I was, I wasn't like everybody else, to say the least. I would try and make everybody laugh. And you need a bit of crazy in you to play in goal. Signed for Warsaw when I was 8 and was there till I was 18. And the life experiences that I got there in terms of the lads that I was with, we just had honestly, we had a piss about it for 2 years, from 16 to 18. It was about the football, but it's the character and all of the hardships. These guys in the Premier League and whatnot, playing for those clubs, they got looked after. We used to have to clean the pros' boots. You'd have to pump up all the balls and whatnot, and you got a real taste of life up until that stage. And then I left Warsaw when I was 18. I don't think the manager at the time was my biggest fan because of my personality. And then I ended up going to Brighton and Hove Albion, and I had the trial of my life there. I can say that's probably the best week of football I've ever had. And deal, we're going to sign X, Y, and Z. Come back Monday, sign the deal. Phone me Sunday, deal's off, can't do it no more. And then my head just spiraled, man. I was like...
Why is it that they couldn't do it anymore?
They signed a player called Craig McHale-Smith, so they'd just gone into the Championship, and they were throwing money at it to bounce straight into the Premier League, new ground and everything. And then because I was a backup player as such, I was going into the reserves. Like, they didn't need me. Whatever money I was going to be on, they could put that somewhere else. They had to sell like 3 or 4 players before they bought anyone else. So that was me kind of kicked to the curb. And that was my first real experience. You hear about players sort of falling off the wagon, or football kind of ending for them, and then they don't know what's going on. And that hit me. And I ended up I was like a casino rat. I don't know what happened, but I was in the casino until 6 a.m. getting kicked out. And I remember talking to my pal, and we were thinking about getting jobs at Asda to fund us going to the casino, because that's how we were going to make money. But all the while I was still kind of playing football. Somehow I've ended up at Burton Albion on trial. In fact, it wasn't even a trial. They just said, come in, get fit, keep training. And I had no fear, didn't really care about football. And again, I was just, because there was no fear there, I just ended up progressing into the team. Obviously met Jack, and similar story, started travelling in together. And then I left Burton a year after. My head probably still wasn't right, and then I dropped into conference football, playing there a little bit. Had a couple of setbacks there. It's the same story, but apart from, say, injuries which I had, it was a case of wrong place, wrong time. And my belief was I always could have made it. I still believe that today. No one can tell me any different. But you kind of fall out of football and go into the real world. But the one thing about football is the setbacks, the hardships that you have to deal with just set you up for life. You don't even realise it at the time, but you are so well equipped for the real world. It's insane, especially at that age.
What sort of hardships do you have to face?
A few things really. A lot of people lying to you and not really telling you one thing and doing a different thing. Having your life set out in front of you. You're going to live in this house. This is the contract that you're going to get. And then the day before you're supposed to sign it, that gets ripped away from you. You have to rebuild again. In terms of rejection in football, lots of people go from jobs. You get notice periods, or you know that the job's not really working for you. And in football, you can do everything right, and somebody turn around to you and go, don't need you anymore. And it's like, right, what do I do? And then you've got to take yourself out to all these other teams, and there's thousands of other kids in the same position as you trying to do the same thing. It's real dog eat dog, and the instability is something where, I don't know, you have to be resilient. That's the thing, you have to keep pressing forward in football.
So Jack, was it your choice to walk away from football essentially?
Injury, yeah. Injury. Yeah.
If you didn't have the injury, would you still have been pursuing the football career?
I think I probably would, yeah. Because inevitably that was why I dropped out. My first 4 years at Burton were all going in the right direction. Managed to play 70 odd League 2 games, was doing well. And the only every time I went backwards was because of an injury, and then it starts affecting how you play. You're flipping, running around the pitch thinking, where am I putting my left ankle? because I'm scared I'm going to go over on it again. So I think inevitably, I think I probably would have kept pursuing football, because it was only really when I started dropping down or kind of falling lower down the leagues because of the injury, I started thinking, and obviously with James at this time, started thinking like, well, hang on, there's got to be a bit of a backup plan here, because I'm not going up, I'm going down. And we know that once you start falling down the ladder on football, it can go so quickly. So that was almost like when I kind of got the nod that it was not going where I thought it was going to go, let's start thinking of something else. Let's be realistic about this, really.
But essentially at the same time, right, like footballers are some of the top ones anyway, some of the highest paying athletes, that there is. So didn't you guys have that motivation or like that sightsee vision of being there one day? And then obviously I know what you guys do now probably pays off and stuff, but it could have been a whole completely different story at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, if we could have made it to the Premier League, I think if you both asked us when we were 18, we'd have said, of course, that is the actual dream, playing for the country, winning trophies as every kid's dream is, because the lifestyle that comes with that, not just the lifestyle, the financial gain, you can look after your family, create generational wealth and all that. I don't think that was ever really in doubt. That was always the goal as being a footballer, and to be the best. It's only when that changes, or you know that you're not on that trajectory, you got to start thinking, well, I'm on the way down. It's not just going to magically come. No one's going to come and say, by the way, you're not playing in that League 2 team, I'm from the Championship, I'm going to sign you on a 4-year deal. It's just not going to happen. So you just need to be realistic about it, I think.
See, my opinion and my experiences were slightly different to Jack's. So up until about the age of 21, 22, in my head, I'm going to be the best player in the world. I'm going to be the best goalkeeper in the world. Even if I'm at the conference, I'm going to make it somehow. I'll find my direction. And then the arrival of my son sort of changed my way of thinking. And it's because of that instability. So you've gone from, no worries, I can go and play football. I can live at my mum and dad's house and I can pursue this dream. But my son comes along and I go, there is instability in football. I have to take control of my own destiny. And even working for other people, which I had some good jobs, some things that I really enjoyed. But my biggest thing, and not everyone's the same, but my destiny has to be in my own hands. And that's where we've had those conversations about, say, the kind of flipping houses and then, the app and whatnot. Our thing has always been about that freedom and to be able to take control of your own destiny. And like, if it's rough, if it's smooth, you're in control. Yeah. If there's a problem with the business, at least you get to make that decision. And if you live or die, you can sleep at night because we made that decision.
I think as well, just on that as well, we've always both had a burning desire to be great, haven't we? At something. And I think when you know it's not going to be in football, I think we wanted to do our own thing, because then there's no real ceiling as to where you can get to, and you are at your own destiny, like Jay says. And I think then you can say, well, no matter what you're going into, no one's putting a ceiling on you to say, well, you have to work for 3 years to get this promotion. The sky's the limit, really. Yeah, of course, yeah. And then that was about applying the mindset from football back into, say, business, whether it was the housing project that failed, the app that failed, onto the next one. We're gonna do great at something. Hopefully it's this. Done all right so far, but it still might not be,
Fair play. So then when you two met, what was your relationships like then? Because you both met in, what was the club again, sorry?
Burton.
Burton, right?
Yeah.
So then, you both met there. How did you end up hitting it off and, become best mates essentially?
Yeah. So the truth is, we got slammed together.
Yeah. It's almost like asking a couple how you met and all that sort of stuff. But,
yeah, literally. No, but saving money is the honest answer.
Honestly, one of the senior pros went, you two live near each other, drive in together. Yeah. And you're looking across the room and I'm going, I don't know this geezer. Yeah. And I'm going, does he like the same music as me? Is he all right? You know what I mean?
Is he going to enjoy the car ride?
Yeah. And you're probably thinking League 2, well, we just need to save money. But when you're on your first contract, you're only 220 quid a week. Yeah. Literally, you're thinking, well, hang on, if I can spend 30 quid a week on petrol instead of 60, sound.
You're doing like roughly 40 miles a day in terms of petrol. Yeah. So you do that, it adds up. So you're kind of looking at him and thinking, yeah, okay, I'll have to travel in with you. Don't particularly want to, but I have to. Yeah. Meet at McDonald's the next day in the morning. Not much of a standoff, but it's like, right, then sit in the car.
Who's driving first?
Yeah. Who's paying first?
Who was driving the first time you met up?
I think you drove,
I was 2 years older, so you probably have to take that.
Yeah. But then, CD's going. It was like back in CD times. This was CD goes in. I forget who was on.
Do you know
was
what
like
as well?
massive into 50
Do you know what I
Cent back
probably
then.
drove as well? Because he was actually crazy back in the day.
Yeah.
And I'd suss this out from even 2 weeks on trial. So obviously we didn't travel in together right from the start. But then when he knew he was going to get in serious, going to get a contract, sound, let's save some money.
Yeah.
I'd already seen enough to think I'll probably best drive in to start with.
Yeah. Honestly, it's one of them. Just set the standard. But tunes start going on. And I think like back then it was like 50 Cent was the boy.
Yeah.
Or he was like coming to the end, but everybody loved 50.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you know what? He's all right. I was waiting for the Kooks.
Okay, so you played the right music then.
Yeah. Listen, if the music was off, I don't think we'd be here today.
Yeah.
But I was waiting for the Killers or the Kooks, and I was thinking, nah,
So
could go one way or the other. I know, that's terrible. But it's
it's a great like equaliser, and it put a tune on. Oh, you like sound, and then
conversations go. Know the same people, same girls in the area, X, Y, and Z. You just start jamming, and then. You go, and it's that's the one thing about football, and car schools are built on this. You go through the same hardships. It's like not in the team. Why? What's going on? What's been said? Or you're having the same laughs about what's happened in the changing room. Or you're talking about the fight, and especially two young lads. And you're in there with like a lot of testosterone and big men. You know, you're like 19, and some of these like lads have played in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And they're like
way more goes on in League Two as well than the Prem. Like, and but social media. It was about, wasn't it? But it wasn't like
like it was.
There was
now.
some,
But we've had some Christmas do's where some of the stories are just they're iconic. In fact, and we played with this guy Stano, and he was. If you mention Nathan Stanton to any player who's played with him, they like put their hands on the head.
Why?
He was the type of guy. So you'd be watching the game, and the ball would go out for a goal kick. Normally, the goalkeeper goes to get the ball. He's like, no, I'll get it. So he'll run over, and if it's the away crowd, he just starts shouting dog's abuse at them. Look at you, ugly, like this and that, blah, blah, blah. And you're just watching rows of men coming down the stands trying to attack him, and he just run off laughing.
Is it?
But that was him. And he just raised the ante. But we had a team of crazy players, didn't we, back then?
Yeah, it was class though. I mean, it was so different as well to youth team football, being in an academy. Is one thing being with like the youngsters, and then it was just you grew up quickly, didn't you? And it was such a good schooling. You had also like your peers who, let's say like in my position, the centre midfield, who was like looking out for me and saying like, "Nah, like think about doing this, think about doing that," and you could tell there were like real relationships. Like it was wicked.
Yeah.
So who left the team first?
Me.
So then how did you go from, because essentially obviously you've built a friendship at that point, right? But then how did you decide to stay in contact even once you had left the team?
I think just because we were pals. But this is the thing about football, you're done at 1:30 in the day. So even when I'm playing for another team, we're still meeting at the gym, training.
Yeah.
I was trying to get in shape next to him.
Become
Because
best
we were going
pals.
on IB from that, weren't we?
Yeah.
That was like, and I think that was it. Because once we'd like had a year, and then we went IB for at the end of that. That was like, obviously we've been on holiday together, had a real good time, and then that's almost going from like, oh yeah, we're pals at football. Because not everyone goes on holiday together at football.
Yeah, no, of course not.
And then we did it the next year, even let's say when one of us left, it was like, no, we're obviously going to go IB for again in the summer. Like, that was class.
Yeah.
Standard thing, innit?
Yeah.
But I suppose, once you go on holiday with someone, essentially it's no longer a work relationship. Now you're best of mates.
That's it, man.
Yeah, man.
So then what was the first business idea? You said you had the housing project, right?
Yeah, so back in the day, that was the thing. We looked at, say, and this is what a lot of footballers don't do, but I think the hunger to be great or look after yourself, that's where it started. We looked at it and thought, right, so from 1:30 in the day to 10 p.m. at night, we've got nothing else to do. We've got manual labour in terms of like educational skills, basic educations. So it was like, right then, if we can get a pool of money together in fact, you had a house first, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That you were renting out.
Yeah, so long story short, remember my old man and my mum saying to me, the first thing you can do, get a property. And this was back from when I was like probably 14, had the paper rounds, worked pot washing at local chip shop, saving up my dough, at football, trying to save every penny really. It wasn't on good money at all, but over the course of like 6 years, managed to save enough to get a deposit here because he was driving. But they always just said, first thing you do, get on a property ladder,
Bricks
and
and
flipping heck. I think I painted the kitchen, because when I got it, it was a shithole.
Yeah.
Painted the kitchen, put some new carpet down, and thought of flipping like house renovations 101. I remember saying to him,
What did you
Hang
do?
on,
Buy
the
to let or you flipped it?
no, I got it and rented it out.
Okay. Yeah.
So just bought it and then rented it out. But I remember kind of saying to him, well, hang on, spent like $2,500 on it and the value's gone up X, thinking, well, if we could do this at scale or we could do this on a bigger house, if we could buy a house for like 300 grand, spend 50 on it, it might be worth 450, 500. As simple as that concept. And then also thinking, it really wasn't that hard.
Nah.
That was the naivety. And
He was like a lick of paint, wasn't it? Especially the ones that we were looking at. Having said that, we also went over the top. There was a guy that we knew who was quite wealthy at the time as well. And we thought, right then, because he's got dough and because housing's quite simple, he's going to give us loads. So we ended up looking at barn conversions and thinking about extensions before we'd even like done this together in the first place.
Yeah.
But yeah, we settled on like a house, and then eventually it kind of fell through. Just because the guy who was going to front the money kind of looked at us. I think I was still 19 at the time. He was like, lads, you're a bit too young for this. Come back in a couple of years. So that was kind of put to bed for a little while. But again, once you get that hunger of, I can make some money, there are ways to make money. It's like, right, then what next? What next? And then some of the ideas over the years, some of them have been brilliant, and then others have just been like awful. Like we were the first, don't care what anyone says, we were the first to think of this, a portable blender. We're thinking of like a lithium battery, you know the drills.
Yeah.
Thinking about getting one of them. And you know when you blend your fruit and that in the morning, you get to work or wherever and it's brown, it's not very nice. We were thinking about having something that you could take with you, 30 seconds in this. Yeah.
They have those now, don't they?
They do, yeah. Oh, they're like worth 50 million now.
Yeah.
So if we'd have started back then, but you know, again, the whole thing with any idea is how do you take that idea and run with it? That's it.
Why is it in that specific moment? Obviously, you said you were the first to think of it. Why is it that you didn't execute it?
we tried.
But
We tried. As in, we were like getting little batteries and stuff and trying to figure out how we could put it to a blender. But again, you think about like the vest and stuff. There's one thing having no experience and then being a technical engineer in terms of like battery and stuff. We didn't have a clue. You go on Google and think, well, like innovative design or how do you create this product? And a lot of these companies will say, yeah, we can take your idea to a product, but it's going to cost you 30 grand, which again, we didn't have. And
and
it was almost like,
as well,
it was just
wasn't
trial and error. Like even like just touch on the housing thing. It was like, we just had an idea and we'd be like, well, we ain't got the dough to do it. Let's just go to someone who has got dough and ask them. Like we'll tell them there's a little bit in it for them, but there's no fear. And like the blender thing, we tried it, didn't try it as hard as some of the others because we didn't have a clue what we were doing. Like we were so far from being able to make a prototype. Like how do you even do that?
So did you guys eventually do the housing project then or no?
Nah, not yet.
Not yet. So it's still in the pipeline then?
Oh yeah.
And then you got to the app. So what's the app?
The app.
Yeah.
So if you research the history of Freetrain, our original name was Two-Pick. Two-Pick as in number 2, PIC.
Yeah.
That was a company name, Two-Pick Limited.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And it was the worst idea ever.
Who came up with the name? Both of you?
Yeah, I can't even remember.
And
but
what was the representation of the name?
2 pictures. So it was an app where you had to upload 2 pictures, and it was based around training because we knew fitness. It was like, right, 1 image is before you work out and the other is after. And I think this was at the time Instagram bought out the carousel. Yeah. So like that idea was just dead in the water.
Out the window there and then.
That was in about 5 minutes, but we'd already registered the company.
Yeah.
So then we developed the idea even further. We were like, right, so we understand fitness. We understand the fitness needs of an average Joe, ourselves, somebody who's not extreme. And what are the things that you look at when you look at fitness? You look at gym workout, you look at cardio, and then you look at, say, nutrition, and then community as well. So what we wanted to do was create an app where you could go into each sector and learn as much as possible about it. I mean, if you look today, there's an app that does that called Pinterest. But this was our thought process. We thought, right, this is exactly what we're going to do. So then we started like running with it. Do you remember your pal, Sam?
Yeah, because we thought, obviously, we went to get a quote for an app, and again, that was about 30 grand. And we were thinking, like, flipping it. Why is nothing like 2 grand so we can do it?
I was going to ask how much it cost because I was looking into it myself about apps.
But this was like back in the day as well, and it was. They were like, "Do you want this on it?" We were like, "Yeah, we need that function."
It's another
like,
$5 grand.
All the bells and whistles. But we thought again, if the concept's there, if we can like prove this concept to someone, maybe we can get some people to chuck some money in because like if they see the value in it, like all we've got to do is convince them. So we went to like this guy who could, a family friend who was like a bit of a graphic designer, and we could say like, we want it to look like this and then it work like this. So we could show to someone, this isn't a digital version, but we had like a real basic beta model made, didn't we?
Yeah.
Thought it was a decent idea at the time.
Yeah.
How much money gone?
No, I was just going to say, and we went back, because we knew how much it was going to cost. We went back to the guy who we did the housing, who we wanted to do the housing project with. And we remember, like, he turned around to us and was like, right, okay, go out and do some market research on it. So we've written these...
On the housing or the app?
On the app.
Okay, yeah.
So we've written these questions out, standing in the middle of town, like lemons, trying to get people. And everyone thinks you're trying to sell them something. You got these, like, 10 questions.
Yeah.
And I think by the end of the day, we had 2 people, and I say 2 people, like these 2 people didn't have iPhones, they're about 82. And we asked them the questions like, what are your fitness needs? Like, pathetic. And then I think we were in the car, we were like, right, should we just fill this out ourselves and bring it back to like left hand, right hand kind of thing. And
Man, we spoke to 200 people
today. Yeah.
They all thought it was great.
We had about 7 different colour pens. So that was the hustle.
I'm trying. Why did you go to the housing guy for the app?
Because he had all the dough.
Okay.
It wasn't necessarily that he was involved in that, but he was like his role as a potential investor as well. So.
He's a very well-known businessman in terms of, you know, what he's done type thing. And when we went with the initial idea, like with the housing, the feedback he gave us was really good. And you know, we'd put these business plans together. And we think, like, God, that's bulletproof, like no cracks in that. And then he'd offer advice and say, well, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? So on the customer feedback thing, have you spoken to real customers to see what they think? And then that was another thing. Like, we never overthought it. It was like, right, we've got to do that. We're going to do it. We stand in town. And okay, it wasn't a great success, but we got feedback off a few people. Granted, it wasn't many, but it was just like, got to do something. We just go and do it, really.
This guy, is he quite known or something? I'm just getting the vibe that he's like a guy.
No, he's not. He's not like.
Okay.
He's not known, but like in terms of respecting what he's done, like we just respect him.
No,
massively.
fair play. You have to, isn't it? I mean, if the guy that helps you out, you know, in any way, shape, or form possible. But so then obviously that was the beginning of Freetrain, essentially, right? Like you said, that was the history. So then where did you rebrand Toopic to Freetrain?
So Toopic stayed around for ages. I think we rebranded Freetrain in 2017. But originally it was this idea, this vest, and it never had a name for ages. And we kind of ran with it, and it was all in the naming process of the product, which was the catalyst for the name of the brand. Yeah. So, you know, as I said to you before, our ultimate goal was freedom, financial freedom. You take the word free, then you have a product that allows people to train freely. And you put the two together, and it's just like, it was seamless.
Yeah, it worked.
In terms of
just worked, didn't it?
It went, yeah. And like, even in terms of like the logos and everything else. And we named the company, the brand, after the product in a sense. But then you have to be smart and go, right, how do you build a brand separate from a product? So then you end up calling the Freetrain F1, which was our beta model, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, for the vest, essentially. Okay, and then you obviously Freetrain becomes the brand, and then F1's the product that Freetrain have.
Yeah. It was the beta model. Yeah, we changed it again, didn't we?
Even when we were spitballing the idea for the app, one thing we were like 100% on is that we want this, whether it's the app or this fitness journey, to be for everyone. Like, give people the freedom to train. And that was even in the app. It was like, doesn't matter what sport you're doing, doesn't matter what background you're from, whether you're like walking or boxing, we want to create this app for everyone. And that then led into the vest and the brand and the name behind it, in terms of, we didn't want it to be, you know, and people may say that this is not the best way to go, but we did want it to be universal, because that's where we saw, we don't want to, you know, section people off and say, no, you can't come into our brand. It was for everyone. Yeah. That was a reason behind it.
Jack, talk to me, because we were on the phone, we've been WhatsApping and stuff, and you said you got some mad stories of how you initially went to China for the manufacturing process and whatnot. So what's all that about?
Where do you start? I mean,
right from the beginning.
I mean, so we had this idea. It took 2 years to get to a product where we thought, this is sellable. But because it was such a unique idea, what we didn't want to do is get these like rough prototypes, send it out to manufacturers and say, here's this thing, what's your best price on this and how can you make it? Because anyone with half a brain will go, well, thanks for that idea, we'll take that and run with 100%. it. So To start with, it was really hard. We actually manufactured the vest in the UK to start with before we got out to China. That's the reason, sorry I'm saying this. Local factory in Wolverhampton, but the problem with that is we had to get everything in from where the materials were being made. So the vest was made of neoprene. We got the neoprene in from China because this clothing manufacturer that basically helped us out as a favour, they didn't deal in these types of materials. So we had to get all the components in, and they basically finished it off with the stitching and putting it together.
Okay, see.
I soon realised that this was just the wrong way to go about it financially, because we're getting the products in from where we could theoretically get it made anyway, and then we're asking someone to make it for us. Great, the quality was there, and they actually really helped us with the prototyping stage. But once we had proof of concept and they started selling, it was like, we've sold 500. Wow, the feedback we're getting is incredible. People are saying this solves a problem, been wanting this for years. So then it was like, right, well, it's costing us 17 quid to make and we're selling it for 20 quid. That's not going to be a business that lasts.
Is that what it was? It was only £3 profit margin essentially on the first 500.
If that,
because we still had to ship it out as well. But we just knew we had to get it out there. But I mean, like, you skimmed on that process of getting the products made. It was insane what we were doing. We were working our day jobs, and because we had no dough, the factory was saying, we can find you these, we can find you the materials, we can find you the clips, we can find you the phone cases, X, Y, and Z. But it's 30% on top. I remember speaking to this guy, and he had like a neoprene factory in Taiwan that he was working with. So he was sending us rolls of neoprene over, 4 different types. We're getting them out, we're comparing them. We're in our hallways going, right then, so if we do this and do this, we're trying to work it all out, how many we can get out of a roll. So we're telling the factory, we had to do all the legwork. They just wanted to stitch it together. We had to get the phone cases sent in from China. But we were like driving around in this little rickety van. And the neoprene in itself, so he was sending these rolls over, and he had some in the UK. But what we didn't realise was the minute that they're made and dyed in China or in Taiwan, they're sent all the way to the UK. But the die cutter, the only thing that could cut it was in a factory in Smethwick, which is probably about 10 miles away from our factory and about 10 miles away from us.
Yeah.
So send it to this guy. And about 2 days later, he phones us up. He's like, you've got to come and get your stuff out of here. We're like, why? And he said, I've had to send half my staff off. They're all sick from the fumes of this stuff.
Oh, is it?
He's going, come and get your stuff. And then, like, you got to do this whole sub story. Come on, like, it's 20 years old. Like, please, like, just get this thing cut for us. He's going, no, come and get your stuff. I'm going, come on, mate.
What was it about that was so toxic? Just the material?
The dye. So the minute that they've dyed it black.
Yeah. Who knows? We didn't.
No, we didn't. We're going, no, they'll be fine. Like, it's just the smell. He's going, what is this made of? And we're going, like, no, you'll be fine. So anyway, we managed to convince him to cut it for us. And we pick up these like all these cut out vests, and we've got to take this and take it to the factory. Yeah. So we're just doing doggies, and this is like on lunchtime breaks from work. Like no one knows what we're doing at the time. We're taking calls in this van, like work related. Yeah. Going, oh no, I'll be back in 5 minutes. I'll just pop to the shop.
Yeah.
And
it's good. The
man.
whole business is running.
Plus as well, like I'd say, like that point when something like that happens, at every stage like this, we thought that's it, it's done. Like we can't recover from that, because that's a real thing where they could go, we're not making them. And the frustrating thing about that, we put so much like time and effort into getting it to there, because when we had the idea, it was like, how the hell can we get this across the line? And even in that, for a year, just leading, it does get to the eventual China point, but we thought we're going to have some kind of money to start this, because and no one doing nothing for us for free. So we spoke to the PFA, we were members of the PFA, and they gave us £1,000 grant to buy some coaching equipment. So we're thinking, right, this is how we can do it, this is what we're good at. Went to the local school, pitched to them saying, can we teach kids fitness classes, and we'll also do a boxing class for you on a Friday. Yeah. Said something like, I don't know, they were like, well, what do you charge? We're thinking, well, we're not a sports coaching company, but I don't know, call it £100 an hour or something like that. Yeah. They came back and we went back and forth for ages, and it was like lesson from day one in terms of like negotiation and that. But we managed to get a contract with them. It was like months and months, but we did it for a year. And in that year, we saved up a pot of money, not loads, to help us with the product development, to buy the phone cases, to buy the neoprene. So it was like time and blood, sweat and tears went into getting there. And then every time something like this happened, where like, nah lads, we can't do this, come and pick your stuff up, it was like, oh man, is this it? Like we've got this far, we finally got to the stage where someone's making them for us. If it goes tits up now, like...
We had it with the factory in Wolverhampton. They made a mistake and it was going to cost 500 quid to rectify it. And we're emailing the general manager of the factory, And he's like, yeah, so unfortunately this has happened. It's 500 quid. We're going, it's your fault. He's going, yeah, I know, but you know, it's 500 quid. And in the end, we're like, fuck that. Nah, like, we're not paying for it. And then his reply was like, no problem, lads, come and get your stuff. And the jaws hit the floor. Then he's like, right, what do we do? And in the end, you're going, we've come this far. Yeah. Like, we've got to like concede here. So we said, okay, like, you know, we'll pay it begrudgingly. And he turned around to us and he was cool, but he was trying to save his company money. He's like, do you know what? We'll pay half as well.
Okay, yeah.
But the whole thing that we've had is, whatever we do moving forward, we'll stand up for ourselves. Do you know what I mean? Because you have to stand up for yourself and you have to believe in yourself. And that's ultimately where, you know, by any means necessary, we will get the job done. So we've gone from Wolverhampton, cannot pay £17. So you raise a bit of funds. Somehow we get out to China. But even the story in terms of getting to China, I was still playing football at the time and I had like 1 week off. There was a window of opportunity for us. And like Mr. Google over here, like he was like, right then, okay, we've got to get our visa in the space of, got to get our visa in a week, fly out to China and have that week there. And then the visa story in itself is just mental.
Did it take long to get or?
Nah.
Corrupt.
Yeah.
No, it was just like, we just didn't have a clue how to do it. Like, and you got to get like a business visa to go out there, but then like, well, there's two types of visas. One of them takes like 3 weeks to come back, and again, it links back to obviously James had kids, for example. So this week of football and those times playing non-league, if you didn't play, really, you didn't get paid, did you?
No.
And obviously, I'm doing my job. I'm self-employed, and it's like, well, if we've got a window to go to China, we decided this like the week before, but we can't do that because this visa that we need takes 3 weeks to come. And then we're thinking, well, what's the other visa? It's like a business visa. You can get that back within a week. Well, how do we get that? We need like a letter off one of the manufacturers. Now, at this time, the reason we're going out to China is to find a manufacturer.
Yeah, manufacturer.
So we don't have no manufacturers to get this letter off.
Yeah.
And like even in that, like we're about to book these tickets, and we've not got the visa. We need to book these flights, and we also, quite frankly, have no manufacturer meetings lined up.
No.
So the idea was we'll go out there, speak to 8 manufacturers, get this done, come back, sound. We've then got a supplier, but. Yeah.
But even that, getting the visa, the day before we went down to London to get the visa, I was up at 3 a.m. emailing this guy who was recommended by the guy who sold us the neoprene.
Yeah.
And I go, right, I need this. Can you send us an invitation? We've got to go and get our visa. Yeah, no problem. So he sends a letter over and we go down to London the next day, literally booked our train tickets in the morning, go down to London to meet this fast track company, Google. And like they come up in the ads. And the guy's name, never forget him, Mikhail, really nice guy.
Was this on like the Thursday?
This was
the week before, wasn't it?
This was the week before. So the week before,
yeah. We'd planned, we had this 1 week of window of opportunity to go out there. So
Yeah.
the week before we thought, got to go down and get this visa.
That's it. And you've seen the queues out the door of this embassy thinking, oh no, he's got no worries lads, come with me. So like he's got 2 booths where the like, I don't know how they've got the drop on it, but handed the letters over with the passports. The lady's looked at it, she's gone, you've not got this, you've not got that. And it's about 11 o'clock here in the UK, running out of time. So I had to run outside, phone Alan, the guy, and like, oh, it's not got the stamp, it's not got the date. So he's gone, yeah, no problem, leave it with me. So he's put the date on, sent it over again. And I don't know where this could go, this next bit of the story, but we've gone back in, he's not put the stamp on the letter. So they give the lady the thing again, she's gone, no stamp, go and do it again. Phoned him, he's not in the office, can't do it. And this is the last day that we can get our visas.
Yeah.
This is the last day for us to have any chance of getting there. Flights are booked and everything. And so I've had to go outside. Who do we know? What can we do? My cousin somehow knows Cantonese and he's like great on Photoshop. Bro, you've got to help me out. Stick a stamp on this letter. Like, so he's gone and found this stamp from anywhere. Stamped it on this letter. We've handed it over, handed our passports over. And then like, I remember turning to him and going...
I remember this moment for the rest of my life, swear to God.
I remember whispering to him, I was like, you can go down for visa fraud, you know. and
I'm thinking like...
His face went
what's
white.
my old man going to say?
Yeah.
This is it. And as soon as she took the papers, I was thinking, can we have them back, please? Like, it was mad, wasn't it?
Did you not clock it or anything like that?
No, well, it was like hit and hope.
Yeah.
But we'd heard nothing for a week. But we've got these flights booked.
Yeah.
And we knew that we had to go to London to pick the visa up. So we've got this train on the way down. I haven't told work that I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm working on the train on the way down. We've had no phone call. Don't know if we're getting these visas. Mikhail phones up. Visas are ready. Meet us at this address. So we go down this bookie area in London. And like, it's in a basement, this place is. So we go down the bottom, and there was like this big main head, like shaved head. He wasn't, I think he was like from Russia, something like that. He was smoking a big cigar. He's like, sit down there. And we're thinking like...
It's like proper Netflix movie shit.
Yeah. But I mean, the basement's dark, and we're sitting on this like leather sofa.
At this point, I'm thinking, somehow the government's found out, this is it, the ticket's away.
Yeah. And I'm thinking... Now we're getting trafficked here. They've got our passports. We're getting shipped off somewhere.
Yeah.
Mikhail pokes us out the door. Right, here you go, lads. Here's your visa. Out we go. Then you got to tell work. Not coming in for a week. Why? Something's happened. I'll tell you when I'm back. And then that was it. Then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Straight to China.
Finding the manufacturers, not having a clue what to do. Googled it. Had about 3 people that had said, "Yeah, come and see our factory." Sound. That was it, got an address. But we thought, we've got to go and see 5 or 6 to make it worthwhile, because then we'll have a good idea who's good, who's bad, etc. And obviously we committed to it, and we didn't really have the money to like pay for these flights, pay for the trip, etc. So got the visa thing. I remember saying to him, like, this was like, we flew on a Sunday, didn't we?
Yeah.
This was like on a Saturday. I remember saying, like, they should come back to us, but we've only got like an okay off 3 manufacturers, and they're not really solid okays. We've just got an address.
Yeah.
And what we didn't want to do is go out there for a wasted trip, because that would have been the end of it, because if we didn't find a manufacturer, it was done. I remember like us having that conversation, and we were saying like, I think they'll come through. I think we'll get the responses off the other 4. What we're going to do, we're going to go for it. And then luckily, they all came back and said, absolutely fine, come and see us, etc. So we got there somehow. And then in terms of going to these manufacturers and that, I mean, our itinerary, we just had like on an A4 sheet of paper, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is who we're going to see. Booked a hotel in Hong Kong. We didn't have a clue, did we?
No.
Like, we didn't have a clue what we were doing. But all we know is if we got there, if we got to the manufacturers, we had the product in our bag, we can get this made, because this is the place where they make these kind of products.
Yeah.
And we'll have to figure it out somehow.
It was honestly, it was bandit country, especially for us. So you get to Hong Kong, everyone speaks English. This is all right. Like, we'll get by. Get the bullet train the next morning into China. For some reason, somebody said that the train stations are like airports. So we get there at the crack of dawn. We go, right, we're going to make it early into China, because you've got to cross the border. So we get into China, first taxi. Can you take us here, please? What? Like, he looks at you like you're off your head. Drives off. Next taxi, same thing. Nobody, if you said hello, they wouldn't know if you were insulting them or greeting them.
Okay, yeah.
And so the next thing, we get the manufacturer on the phone, tell him where to take us. So you jump in the taxi now, the manufacturer's on the phone to him. And again, it's like everything that's happening up until this point in China, you're thinking, every hurdle that we come across, we're going to get unstuck at some point. This taxi driver takes us down. Again, I remember, this was like something out of a Netflix film. It was like a dark alley, and there's blokes there with like machetes chopping meat, like just staring at you. Guys with one eyes.
Well, as you're driving past,
as we're driving, and he's slowing down, you go, nah, this ain't the place. This is like some back alley.
Well,
it's raining. The scene is just set, man. And all we've got is 2 umbrellas, and I'm thinking, right then, okay, so if I do this, and we're looking at each other going, right then.
Yeah, you're thinking at that moment, okay, what's the weapon of choice here?
Yeah. That is it, yeah. Which end am I going to go with?
And he like shouts at the guy, and the guy's like, that's the guy like we're going to meet. And then jump out the taxi, and he turns around, and he's gone, and you're thinking, like, we're stranded here. If this don't go south, like, this guy might not even know that we're coming to see him, because everything was like, nothing was like properly confirmed.
Yeah.
Like, it was Mickey Mouse, really, wasn't it?
It's just like winging it as you're there.
100%.
It was stupid what we did.
And I don't know if it was like clever thoughts or stupidity on most of our journey, but we'd always just bash our heads together and like voice it between us, which I think is the benefit of having someone to voice things to. Is this a sensible idea? Like, nah, not really, but if we thought of this, yeah, right, let's do that. We're both happy with that, let's do it. And then we was in with the manufacturers, and then the hardest thing and the biggest problem we had is because we had this really good like finished product and we wanted to get it done even better. But we didn't want to show these manufacturers, with all due respect again, can you make this product? Because if they said, yeah, but we weren't happy with the price, they then have that to reference and to copy if we walked away from them.
Yeah.
So we detached the phone case from the vest, and we first just talked about the vest, and there was nothing on there. So basically it could have been like a high-vis jacket, for example.
Yeah, they have
so
no
we got
idea.
the price on that, and we thought, you know, what's the factory like, what are the ethics like, what's the price point, what are the materials, to figure out whether they were you know, reliable enough or warrant us to show them the phone case. Can you make this? And obviously then we piece them together. That's the finished product. But we didn't want to tell anyone this really until the plan was to speak to them all. Don't tell them the whole idea, and then we have a conversation who we're going to go back to on the last 2 days of the week to say what's the price for the full product.
Yeah.
And
you're
even
going
that
to be
was,
the go-to
you know,
person.
risky
That's
stuff
it, yeah.
because they were like saying, is this it? Like, does anything else go on there? And we're thinking like, if God forbid they've seen it somehow and they think we think they're blagging them, you know, in their country they might take real offence to that and say like, you know, there could be a problem then.
Yeah.
So we ended up telling them like a light attached to it. The minute we got a decent price, you knew the factory was like cool, and the factory owner, you kind of get a bit of trust with them. There's some of them guys out there, some of them are suave, and then some of them you can just see them coming a million miles away. But yeah, our manufacturer, like what a guy. I think he took us out for lunch. He was the only guy we let take us out for lunch that time. Like had a couple of drinks with him, and we knew he was a guy, and he's still our manufacturer today.
Oh, he's still your manufacturer today?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
from the
yeah,
very
yeah.
beginning, he's still
Yeah.
the same.
He's wicked.
But you know, the second time we went back, he took us to meet like he's some people from where he's originally from in China. You know, like he's just a cool guy. We've built that good relationship with him.
So essentially, the week that you'd gone there for was successful.
yeah.
But we nearly never came back.
Why is that?
So we had.
Is this the season 2 of the Netflix story, basically?
This is the
Season
ending
finale.
of season 1, season finale. So after we met our manufacturer, the next day we had 2 more meetings, and we're like, right, for the good of the business, we've got to see them. But we just knew it wasn't going to be the one. And we got to this factory, and it was horrendous. Like we were never going to go with them because the employees that they had, they lived on site. It just wasn't a nice place, really. And we were knackered. We'd been to one factory in the morning, travelled like 3 hours to the other factory, and we were 2 hours away from the border. So we ordered a taxi to leave. We're waiting around. They're showing us around this factory. The fumes are terrible. It's like going to rain any minute. Jump in the taxi. Taxi driver takes us to the train station. We're in this queue, right? And obviously we're British, so you wait in the queue. But all we can see is like over there, like if you're late, you jump in the queue. You jump in the queue, and we're seeing all these people jumping in the queue in front of people. We get to the front of the queue. Oh, we need a train back to Fujian, the border. And she's gone, no more trains. Last one went 5 minutes ago. Jaws hit the floor. It's like, but we're miles up, and I'm talking like a 2-hour car journey. It's like from Birmingham to Cardiff. And we're like, right, what do we do? Outside again, on the phone to these manufacturers. Can you tell them we need to get from here to the border? Taxi drivers are listening to these guys on the phone. They're just driving off. But like nobody speaks English. We're like, right, what do we do? And we're looking at this grass verge going, well, that's a place to sleep. And it's getting dark. And you start hearing all these noises. And
Did you have your flight booked for that day, basically? Or?
Nah, it was like 2 days later. But
okay.
if we'd have stopped overnight there, God knows what. We're not stopping in the building, we're stopping on the grass.
Yeah.
I don't know what animals are in China. So we're sitting on this grass verge, literally, like rucksacks like on the side, on this thing. I swear to God, this blacked out Audi pulls up out of nowhere, and you're thinking, right then, it's on again. Where's my umbrella? And guy winds down the window, suited and booted.
He's like, need a lift, lads.
Earpiece, yeah. Need a lift.
What,
Yeah.
What, you trusted it? Did you jump in?
What? Listen, it was like
No,
sleep
I mean,
there.
he didn't say it like that, but he kind of
It was more or less like
somewhat
that.
like, do you need a taxi or whatever? And we
Yeah.
were like, well, yeah, like really bad actually,
Yeah.
because we're about to sleep here.
But-
And we were like looking at each
Why
other.
didn't you
weren't
just
we?
get a hotel in the area or anything like that?
No, we,
No one speaks
we
English.
couldn't, like-
We didn't have any money.
But
Okay.
even to get from like the hotel, the train station to the hotel, it was like, probably couldn't even figure out how to do that, do we?
Yeah, yeah.
I remember it's like, we had a like little 5 second like brain chat.
Yeah.
We were like, is this a good idea to get in here?
Yeah. But it was like, but honestly, I couldn't. Where we were, You didn't know. No, you couldn't have said to the taxi, "Take me to a hotel."
Yeah.
And if you'd have taken us to a hotel, like the language barrier, everything, we had to write things down. It was just mental.
We showed him the address, and he was like, "Yeah, sound." Like, and we were thinking, or the train station sound, and it was only 20 minutes from there. Well, sound. We'll get in, then, didn't we? And then we get in, and then
I just got superpower. I have. I'll fall asleep anywhere. I'm in the back of this car.
I'm panicking. As normal. He's asleep, and I'm thinking. So we've got 2 hours to go. This geezer's. We just got in his car. He's not got a taxi sign on. It's like it's some futuristic electric thing, and then it's like we've got this translation app. So I'm speaking to the thing, and then it says it, which probably isn't even right. So I'm trying to have this conversation with him, saying like, "Do you understand where we're going?" And then he's saying these things on his phone, and he's saying something to me, and I'm like, "No, that's not what I mean. Like, do you understand where we're going to the hotel or whatever?" Breakdown in communications massively, and then he kind of understands where we go, and he's like, yeah, no problem, all this through the app, and he's not speaking to me. And then I was like, how do we pay? Because we didn't have like a lot of cash on us. It's like, and he's going, don't worry. Thinking like, well, we obviously got to pay. And then I'm saying things like, what about like PayPal or like, card or something? And he's going, don't worry.
But he was asking you loads of questions, wasn't he? About like what we're doing there, who are we, where are we from? He's mental.
Yeah, like didn't have a clue, and then whatever, got to the thing, and then we were like, so how can we pay? And he was just like, don't worry.
Drove off.
Got out and drove off. Probably 2.5 hours we were in the car, and still don't know why. This car came and dropped us back, and we got out. We've never seen him again.
The theory is Chinese Secret Service. Honestly, do you know what? And this car, honestly, Raheem, this car turned up out of nowhere. The taxis are they're all broke down, like they're old cars, and out of nowhere this black electric, and I mean we're in rural China here. Yeah. This blacked out car turns up out of nowhere.
Stands out more than anything else.
100%. But when you're over in China, what you don't realise, they are taking photos of everything. You go through there's toll booths everywhere. They're taking photos of who's in the car. We got to the border in Hong Kong same day. They stopped me for whatever reason, jacked through the other side, and they take my passport off me. And what happened? They put my passport in the machine.
Yeah, no, it was fucked really. I think for a couple of reasons, because so I'd gone through and I was waiting the other side, and because my thing, I was stressing all the time because of how we got the visa. I thought, if this ain't a legit visa, one of the times when we come to go back through the border to Hong Kong to China, if someone calls us out on it, we fucked. That was my fear. So I've got through, and then they're looking at him, and so they're on a raised platform, aren't they? Yeah. And then so there's 5 of them there. They've given a guy a load of hassle in front of you, haven't they? Yeah. And then it's got to you. So as they've got the passport, I'm behind them, so I can see them looking at him, and on the screen, his face is showing up on the screen of all the pictures they've got in China. He's mad. So I'm looking at the screen thinking, I was thinking, that's him in China. I was thinking, fucking hell, God knows what's going to happen here. And then they're standing on this platform. They're laughing at the picture. They're laughing at him. It was not right. He was not on it. It was uncomfortable for both of us, and I could see him.
I was getting ready to go down.
Yeah, he was getting ready to kick off because,
What do you think? It was a case of racism?
Yeah, it was.
Potentially, yeah. I think, but do you know what though? I believe I didn't see another black guy in China when we were there. The first time, anyway, and I believe that. There was an interest. There was people driving past like that. I could have caused about 1 million car crashes.
But from my point of view, as I could see it, it was 100%. Because the way they were laughing and the way they were looking at the picture, and then they could see him getting annoyed. And I was thinking I was standing there thinking literally he's going to kick off. This is going to go south big time. Because it was not on. It was awful. And then 5-10 minutes later, finally they let him through, got his passport and that, and then it was horrible, really, weren't it? Because you felt a type of way. You thought, should I chin this geezer?
Yeah. It was just one of them. Do you know, after the day that we'd had and getting through there, I just thought...
bothered with it.
Yeah, because to be fair, I'm of the mindset I'll rise above that. That's your problem. That's not mine. But it was just a waste of time. Yeah, after everything that we've been through, I was thinking, right then. And then obviously the visa thing goes through your mind. It's all right then. Now it's time to go down swinging if it's gonna happen. And he's
I was at the train station.
And he's on the other side going like just chill.
Yeah,
And
man.
yeah, so then put that behind us and then go out on the lash in China with all the Chinese.
Yeah.
Well, Hong Kong, which was just mad.
Because we were so relieved because for 2.5 years, the best part of this, it was how do we get to the point where we can get a product which we can stand behind and be like, this is it. This is the product that's going to get us to where we want for ourselves and for the brand and for the people around us. And it was like we'd got the right price, we found the right manufacturer, he was a good person, the ethics were right, and we were like, we've done it, like we've done our goal. The risk to come to China, the money, the flights, the jobs, the putting the jobs on pause, like we've done it. Like they've showed us, and they mocked up a prototype as well that like straight away for us, and we were like, the quality's brilliant. They had suggestions to the vest which helped, and it was like a real sign of relief, wasn't it? And then we were like, brilliant, it's time to like have a beer and celebrate. And then,
again, even then, a fight broke out in our bar. It was mental.
Involving you guys? Or?
No, like just next to us. But I mean, like it was just
crazy.
Every step of the way, there's just been something mad.
Could write a book honestly about it. Literally,
You could write 3.
Yeah.
If this was Joe Rogan 3.5 hour podcast, we could just.
Well,
keep
you
going.
know, when I looked at the camera just now, I was actually surprised with like how long it's been. How long do you think this podcast has been so far?
I'd say an hour and 20.
Oh no,
I'd
so it's only been
say
an hour.
Oh, is it really?
I thought it was only about half an hour. So
Yeah.
I was like, raw. But I'm intrigued to know, right, from a business perspective, you were initially paying £17 when you get it made in the UK, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, without revealing the full price and everything, was it a big difference when you had a manufacturer on board in China?
It was absolute chasms.
Is it?
Yeah.
Complete night and day, basically.
Night and day. Because it's just the shipping and everything else. And
Because
obviously,
we were getting the products in to like in effect make it.
to stitch here. And
We had an idea of what we wanted when we went over there. Nothing to back that up. We just thought it'd be great if we could get it made for this. And
they beat it.
They beat it, yeah. When they first came back out, we almost had to like calm ourselves down because they came out and went like, "This is what we can make it for." Me and him were like nudging each other.
You know one of them? Yes, come on. Slide the price over like on the calculator and you go,
Oh, the negotiation was
Yeah.
But you still got to argue like it's not bad, but you got to show that.
Literally that.
It's like when I
Same
bought my car, this
we're
is
like
exactly
high
what I've done.
fiving each other,
Yeah.
buzzing.
like knocking each other on the leg going. But yeah, we're like, do you know what? Can't do it.
Yeah, we've got to have a think about it.
Yeah. And he's come back with another number.
Yeah.
But
No, that's mad.
yeah, do you know what though? If you're not getting bored, I mean, we went to China a second time and that was same. Do you know what?
Maybe part 2.
Maybe part 2.
Why did you go again?
Now. To progress the vest and get better.
Okay.
Again, we went from this model made in Wolverhampton, which wasn't a finished article by any means.
Yeah.
And then we made another model off the back of it, which was just like improved materials, better price for us, but we'd stepped it up. But the next stage was to step it up again, build relationships. We actually wanted to get a second manufacturer. So again, we'd go out there, new meetings, but we decided that we're going to meet our old manufacturer because he's just such a good guy. And we're going to develop Mark II, which is the V2. But yeah, the first day that we went there, we went to this factory, never told our manufacturer we were going out to see anyone else. We said, we're just coming to see you.
You want loyalty, innit?
Of course, yeah. But, you obviously need to sort of, secure your supply chain.
Yeah.
And so we get to this factory, meet this guy. He's got like a bit of a familiar look. So we're talking to him, same trick again, like disconnected the phone case and the vest. And we've like gone, okay, we'll show you this. And he's looked at it, he's gone, we've made this before. We're going, no, you haven't. Like, this was only made 6 months ago.
Yeah.
We go, no, we have. So he gets on the phone and he gets all these picture messages through. And it turns out that flipping our manufacturer is he's outsourced it, but the guy he's outsourced it to is his cousin. So they've got like a family business. So we're like trying to keep it on the low that we're out there trying to get a second supply chain. We've only gone and bumped into his cousin.
How did your manufacturer, your original guy, feel about that?
Well, he didn't say anything, but I think they know the crack.
Yeah.
Like, it goes both ways, doesn't it?
So just to understand this, right? So when it was made in Wolverhampton, that was the F1, and then when you went to China, that was the V1.
Yeah.
And then when you went back to look for the second one, that's the V2.
Well, it's still called that. We just like the upgraded V1, but we actually bought literally that. But then we bought out the VR as well. That was when we went out to get the reflective model.
Okay, how come you called it VR?
Vest reflective, because we're so original.
Virtual reality one.
Yeah,
So underwhelming, isn't it?
I know, but that's where we fucked up as well.
Why?
Google search and all of that. If people type in VR, virtual reality is going to
First thing that comes up,
drown it.
Yeah.
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 That's mad. So when you first initially, decided that, on the manufacturer, when you first went to China and that, was there a specific minimum quantity that you had to order?
Yeah, 5,000. So we've gone from like 500 in Wolverhampton to 5,000.
Straight 5,000.
Yeah.
How much did that set you back, if you don't mind me asking?
Can't remember. I think we like, including the marketing as well.
No, just product.
Probably.
Like 20 grand.
Yeah.
And was that a lot for you guys then, or?
Everything.
All in.
Everything?
All in.
So
All the money we saved from the coaching, and we put in whatever we had.
Yeah.
And we did that all along really, didn't we? And it was like, right, it's
So 20 grand for just product.
And then we had like 10 for marketing.
Yeah.
With what we knew at the time. Yeah, literally. Well, the website was already kind of done then. But in fact, no, it wasn't. The website was a shambles. It was disgraceful, our website was, until the second time that we went to China and we leveled up. But what we knew was from the first model that cost £17, we knew the margins based on how much the advertising cost was. And at this time, Facebook was like the magic machine. Yeah. You put in £5, you get 30 back. Yeah. It was just insane. You couldn't lose. So we just knew all we had to do was get the product.
It's all changed now though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all gone now.
Going back to it though, one of the biggest issues when I talk to my friends about it, right, due to the whole COVID thing and all that sort of stuff, I was speaking to one of my guys in Birmingham, he's got a fabric centre, right? Shipping containers from China to here now, whereas it was like 2-3 grand before, to my understanding it's about 18 grand, something like that right now.
It's ridiculous. I mean, during COVID, the demand was that high, people running, like everyone was running, weren't they? Like you go out for a walk and you see people running. We had to air freight everything in. So it wasn't even containers. We couldn't have the time of 6 to 12 weeks for containers. We needed products in within 2 weeks. I mean, when we went out the second time, the reason a lot of it had been outsourced to his brothers and cousins manufacturers was just because of the demand. It was like, he made 5,000 and it started ticking out. It's like, can you make 10? Can you make 20? Can you make 30?
Well, we had the 100,000 order.
Yeah.
I remember being on the phone to him, it was like...
What, you had to order 100,000?
We had to order 100,000 in one go at one point, just because we were running out of stock, like, really quickly.
So by then this is the brand picking up and everything?
Yeah, because we launched it in America as well, hadn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And it was like taking off there, and it's quite funny though, because when we ordered that 100,000, like our inexperience, and I think this is like part of the beauty, isn't it, of how we got to where we got today, because we'll just be like, flipping it, selling well at the minute, like we're doing this much for. If we order another 20, like we'll be run out in like 6 weeks or whatever, and it's picking up momentum. So we was like, well, how much should we order?
Yeah.
And we was like, what about 60? And then we're like, yeah, but like, what about 80? And we would literally just go, well, that's how far we could stretch to. We can pay it in installments or whatever. Should we just do it? And we'd go, let's just do it.
Literally, he was like the voice in my head for about 6 months, because we'd just be around. I'd be walking around the house with my AirPods in. We'd be speaking on the phone, literally. So we had to run a business through the phone. But I'd be in the kitchen, like making a sandwich, when we'd be just talking through the phone.
Was this during lockdown or something?
During lockdown, but this is like, kitchen business is the worst business, because that's when I'm like cutting a sandwich, like 80,000, 60, 100.
Distracting, cutting a tomato.
It sounds daft, but there was no other real thoughts apart from like, we're going to grow this, we're going to smash it, we're going to go different territories. If we've done this in the UK, why can't we do it in America? Well, actually America is 5 times the size of the running market. What about Germany as well? Sound, let's do it. How do we do that? Google it. How do we get a warehouse in Germany? Google it. Let's do it.
The recurring theme with us is just no fear.
How long did it take, or how quick was it to sell the 100,000 units?
It slowed down a little bit, but it probably took us about 4 months.
That's still not bad though. That's like 25,000 a month.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was
crazy.
It
was crazy.
How much marketing did you have to put behind that to sell 25,000 units a month?
Not much at all. It was like
all organic.
Organic. Everybody was wearing the product. Everybody. But this was always the plan. We've had a few kicks in the teeth, in truth, because this apparel collection, what you see today, was meant to be launched at the back end of 2020. But our success through COVID has also been our failure. Has also been our obstacle, because the garment manufacturer, working with, say, decent reputable companies as well, they're working with the likes of Nikes and Adidas's and these companies that are way bigger than us, get put to the back of the queue. And, we wanted to launch at the back end of 2020, and it's 2022 now. So, there has been there's been hurdles along the way. But yeah, in terms
Never
of,
wanted to release a sub like par apparel.
Half-hearted one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we just thought like, and now okay, it's late and it's been delayed and stuff, but we can stand behind the quality of the clothes now, the look, the feel, the materials, the sustainability.
Yeah.
And it's A1, like, and we can stand behind that now.
Yeah, if you're going to do it, get it right.
the quality's a joke, man. In
Yeah.
truth. And you know, we went to speak to the guys from Represent Clothing and George
Eaton,
yeah. And then his team, even around him, James and Stefan, like, and they're clued up guys. But the one thing about them as a company, like, their quality, they inspired us in a sense of going, right, whatever we do, whatever we put out, has to be top quality. But then there's ethics to it as well in terms of the sustainability. Even when we went out to China, the one thing that we've always said is we don't want to make £1 off the back of someone else's suffering, and it goes as far as sustainability. We're working towards 100%. We're at 83% with the clothing range now, and then when we get to 100%, it's like, right, how do we work on how we ship it in? How do we make that as economic as possible? So the whole the ethos of the brand is be better, and that goes across everything.
How important is it for you guys for the ethos and the diversity of the business? Because we will literally talk about this off camera, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything. I think the most important thing for us is we have an identity and we have things that we believe in that has to be in the DNA of Freetrain, and we don't want to deviate from that, and we believe that our morals and what we want the brand to be about, when that gets out there and as it's slowly getting out there and the more it can get out there, we think it's a really inspiring, unique brand, and because we don't believe there's anyone doing things like us. I mean, we have different backgrounds, we have real culture embedded in us that we, even from the first stage of our company, from the people we've employed, that's the message we want to get across. We want to be multicultural, we want to be for people who like walking, like boxing, like running, like different sports, different people, and bring people together. And that's not just reeling off a spiel. That's what that's us from a starting point.
I think it's essentially what we've been exposed to all of our lives, coming from a very, say, what would they call it, urban environment as a young kid, and then moving to like a predominantly white area. Do you know what I mean? And you learn to flex, and then you play football, and there's so many different characters. You play with people from abroad, and that's probably the basis of our business relationship, is the ethics. Now, we've probably gone a lot slower than other companies have in certain senses, but it's because the foundation has to be right, and we'll never sacrifice that, because again, it's like money. You buy that car, you buy that house, fantastic, what then? Now, I think it was Alex Ferguson that said this: money follows success. If the brand, if the business, if the clothes are fantastic, the money will come. Do you know what I mean? It's like Nike now can do whatever they want to do, and the money will back it up. But it's all in like the ethics and the reason why, and our reason why is more important than, you know, ripping somebody off or producing a shit product at the end of the day.
Obviously, you've had iconic athletes from Pogba to Conor Ben, for example, wearing your vest, and that's not even from you sending it or for promo or exposure. So what does that tell you guys?
It's brilliant, isn't it? I think.
Like, when you saw that, you must have thought, this is mad.
Yeah. Do you know what? The Pogba, we've always said this, don't we, about...
Yeah, Jack Grealish as well, right?
Yeah. Honestly, Van Dijk, we've had like... You mentioned him the other day, even Ludacris.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Ludicrous.
Yeah, it's mental.
Had
Kevin Hart's had one.
Is it?
Yeah, it's mad.
The great thing from the football point of view as well, and it's just like, it doesn't really mean anything, but we never made it to the heights we wanted to in football. So to see someone like the world's best players, and like, they don't even know it's us two, but like...
Yeah.
But they're still wearing the brand though,
yeah,
isn't it?
but like, they don't know that, like, they probably have not a clue that it's two failed footballers, but like the great thing about that, it's almost come full circle, because we've had arguably some of the best players in the world wearing our product, and Kane never got to that level, but something
branding
in that that's quite nice. Yeah.
But I think you mentioned the names out there like Pogba and Conor Ben. Conor Ben's probably the one that we really worked with the most in terms of we're going to do a partnership with you. Now, the relationship away from business has been massive for us, but that's because of his way and his ethos and his ethics. They match with the brand. He's no nonsense, says what he thinks, says how he feels. He's very honest. He's not super polished, but he's true in what he believes and how he is as a person. And like that excites us to work with people like that. And that's how the brand will move forward. We don't particularly want anyone associated with this brand who is squeaky clean. Yeah. Because no one is. Do you know what I mean? You speak to a real person, you know if they're a good person or bad person. Everybody makes mistakes. We've made loads. But you know the difference between someone who's going to turn you over and someone who's going to, who's just true to the word. And that relationship with Connor has probably epitomised he's probably set the standard of people that we want to work with. Not from the fame point of view, but what he stands for.
I want to throw it back to something, right? Because I forgot to ask this question. You guys quit your jobs in January 2020, right? Yeah. And then, firstly, I want to know, why did you quit your jobs? And secondly, obviously March, no one knew there was going to be a lockdown that was going to happen. No one knew about COVID. So was there an instant regret thinking, oh, I fucked myself? Or what was going through your whole head at the time?
Do you want to do why we quit the jobs or when lockdown happened?
Yeah, why you quit jobs and then we'll get to the lockdown bit.
Why we quit the jobs? Well, it just come to a time, hadn't it, where we thought momentum's picking up, the vests are selling, we're struggling to juggle the both, like doing a part-time job. We were packaging up vests at our house, asking all favours from family and friends. We need to package these vests up, get them out. It was just becoming like it was unsustainable. And we'd have conversations, wouldn't we? Like, are we going to make a go of this? Are we going to make a go of this? And then, like, long and short of it, got to Christmas, didn't it? And then we'd kind of like think, is it the right time to do it? We'd have conversations like, yeah, we'll do it soon. But the demand got that big. Like, we were going over to the post office with rucksacks full of bags, dropping them off. It just thought, like, now's the chance to do or die.
You know the big mail sacks?
Yeah.
We'd be sending each other videos of, like, hallways, like, blocked out. I live probably 30 metres from a post office. I used to walk over there with one sack. It was getting to the point where I was making 2 trips in the car from my house. I was having to stack my car full, putting them on the side in there, filling the boot. I'd have to leave my door open thinking, who's going to take these? And I think the point where it got to where it was like unsustainable it was about 3 a.m. in the morning. My missus was asleep and the label printer's just churning these things out. I got work in about 6 hours and it's churning out these labels and you're having to slap them on. We've got like family and friends. We had like it looked honestly, apart from it being vests, it looked like a trap house because it was like it was a conveyor belt. Yeah. I had like my dad putting them in, my mum was sticking the labels on. It was getting to the point where we had boxes of doubles because we knew certain people were buying doubles and then just singles by themselves, and then opens for like specials where someone might have a pair of gloves. And like living rooms were just full of boxes, man. I've got some photos where like an Arctic lorry was on my road with pallets bringing them down and we didn't even know it was coming. I had to phone him, he's come whizzing around my house. It was mental. We're just taking boxes.
You look back now and you think, like, not that
have we done it
years ahead of that, but like those are the magic days because it was like backs against the wall, pulling in favours from wherever you could. It was just brilliant. Like the lady at the post office was like, "Oh, you boys are doing all right, aren't you?" And you go over one day, one sack, then it's 2. It's like, I'm all right to leave them. You'd end up being best pals with them. Remember sending them like whenever like Christmas, whenever like Christmas cards and that, and just said like thanks for all your help and stuff. And it was class.
That's probably good, man.
But then,
we said, didn't we, in Jan, we were like, we're going to do it. And we kept like, are we actually going to do it? We're actually going to do it. But we both had like good jobs, didn't we?
We've decided within 3 days, in between Christmas and New Year's, we were like, right, bang. I remember phoning my boss the day before New Year's Eve and being like, I want to quit. And again, coming from football, not knowing the real process with the job, he was like, oh, okay, so your notice is 3 months. I was like, what's notice? I didn't even know you had to work. I thought, right then, I'll just down tools tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then again, I had to kind of like work my notice and work the job at the same time I think they let me off for a month. But it was just insane.
I remember like my boss, like the area manager. He's like a massive geezer, like he's quite intimidating, or that's the persona that he gave off. And I remember thinking, like, I don't get on with this geezer, and like I don't really like the way he speaks to people and stuff. Like, I knew exactly what it was like. I remember thinking, like, I wrote this email out, like handing my notes, etc. remember thinking like, I'm going to bump into you into like in a conference centre one day, or like a holiday where we used to have the meetings or something. And I used to think he used to like belittle people. And I was thinking, and it hasn't happened yet, but one day hopefully I'll bump into him and just say, made the right decision, didn't I?
Yeah.
What about when lockdown kicked in then?
Well, you heard this thing was coming, right? And we were like just picking up momentum, but you don't know the extent of like what's going to happen.
Yeah, because everyone thought it was just going to be 2 week thing, month max. And,
Yeah. Well, that in itself, but we're thinking, right, do the products stop? What happens? How do we operate? And remember speaking in the day before, and we just swapped agencies in terms of our ads. He's like, right, and so we're going to have to like have a new strategy tomorrow. And then obviously Boris sits in front of the telly at 8 p.m. and he goes, all you can do is run, bike or walk. And I remember jumping up like England had just scored the winner in the 90th minute, the World Cup final. Because in your head you go, fucking hell, you've got this whole new market of people that would never have seen the product.
And now they're about to.
And now they're about to.
Yeah.
Watching Facebook all day.
So did the business boom in...
Yeah. And
massively.
then
Massively.
it is on from that point. But the clever thing that we did, the thing which, I don't know about yourself, but I think we added the real value to the company. Where we were doing it on a shoestring before and the website was atrocious. That January when we got back from China, we were like, right then, this was the second time that we went out there, we went, right then, now we level up. The photographer that we got on, the graphic designer that we were working with, the website just went through the roof, and we went from like a little shitty brand, not being disrespectful, but that's the way that we looked at the brand. We were like, it was like clip art. We're taking pictures and putting them together. We had X's through.
Using
product.
pick 2 or 2 pick.
Using 2 pick. It was 2 pick. Yeah. And then we just leveled up the imagery. Everything started like really paying for models and whatnot. Really finding locations.
Using ourselves.
Yeah. But then we were going through a stage where we had people with like 500 followers, like ASICS front runners. We were trying to give them the product like, nah, I'm sponsored. Like I can't have it. And we're going, no, you're not. But like. And then remember we sent this guy a product, I think his name was the Bristol Runner. And I remember sending the product, and the product to us back then was like everything. And I think he's going, yeah, I'll wear it. He just aired us completely on Instagram, never wore the product. And I remember being in Bristol for work thinking, if I see this guy running past, I'm going to chase him down. So why aren't you wearing the product? Yeah. And then the minute the website leveled up, the Instagram leveled up, people were coming to us, blue ticks were coming to us saying, oh, can I have one of them? The blue ticks were buying the product, and that's how it was like we had everything geared up for the boom, and then the boom happened, and then
But like the magic thing is like when it proper kicked off during like COVID and stuff. Been this way from day dot, and we'd never overthought anything, and obviously we're looking at the Shopify sales, and they're going up and up and up, and it's like, is this really happening? And then it was just like, well, what's next? What do we crack on to? We never once, and even still to this day. Like whether it's good or bad, we've just kind of gone, well, we just have to move. Like we've got to move forward. And that's it. Never really overthought anything. Never really like got caught up in what's happening, have we? No. Tried our best to just keep moving forward, and good or bad, just keep pushing the business on.
My last question, right? For the people watching and listening to this right now, what's the best thing you could advise them? Whether it's for business, whether it's for life?
I know my business one. Go on. Is if you have a belief in something, don't listen to the noise and try and do what you truly believe in. And whether that's making a product, whether that's starting a podcast, if it's what you want to do and you're passionate about it and you're willing to work hard, have a go at it. Simple.
I think mine goes for both business and life. Just keep moving, because if you stay on that wheel, if you keep moving, you don't know what's around the corner. Lockdown happened, it went our way. Facebook changed, you have to adapt. And if you don't do that, if you panic in the moment, if you give up in that moment, you'll never know what if. And you'll know the time to move on. But the truest thing is just keep on pushing forward.
Well, boys, James, Jack, I want to thank you very much for coming on CEOCAST and sharing your wisdom, sharing your story. There's definitely been a whole Netflix series in production, but also combined with like a David Attenborough documentary type thing. I'm hoping a lot of people can learn stuff from this, man. It's interesting, proper good.
No, thanks for coming down, man. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you, bro.
All the best
Nice
in the
one.
future.
Yeah, man. See you.
Sick.
Nice one.
And I'll catch you lot on the next episode next week.